I remember well how long time ago I was creating my first accounting cloud solution. My hands were shaking. At the moment I have been asked to provide the credit card number, my heart almost exploded. I was sure that I am going to pay for this a big way. But it has never happened. Instead, it started an amazing journey, opened many doors, and today I recall that day with a smile on my face. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This time in the episode, which is going to start the whole new series of the episodes with Azure from Microsoft. Cloud has started to be something normal for many companies. Myths about the high costs or lower security has been busted, and the job market is very hot. Companies are fighting for people who knows how to use cloud service. Azure is one of three biggest, just next to AWS from Amazon or GCP of course from the Google, and the whole business is huge. Only Azure generates today more than 30% of Microsoft income. Today we are going to talk about the following. At the beginning, briefly, what is cloud? Then we will talk about Azure costs. We will show how to register and log in. And then at the end of the day, there is no better way explaining what is cloud than showing few out of many examples how to use it, including virtual machines, Databrick, which is very important for us. We are also going to see some AI services. We will translate some text or recognize age of the person on the picture. Then again about the cost control and what are next good steps to take in order to develop our knowledge further. Let's get starting. Every time you are going to ask someone what is cloud, you are going to get a bit different answer. Subject is huge and everyone uses cloud in a bit different way for different purposes. When it's going about myself, the best comparison which comes to my mind is that cloud is just like the building material store. Just instead of buying stuff, you are renting it to develop, maintain and operate your applications. And just like IKEA, everything fits to each other, but you need to put the puzzles together by yourself. All the stuff in the store can be split into some categories like the computer powers, including the virtual machines, moving forward some networking functions including firewalls and many security features, some storages, multiple types of them, frameworks and application helping to develop the web application, mobile application, database and so on and so on. Before we will jump into it, let's talk about costs. Most of the cloud providers, in order to encourage us to use their services, offer some kind of free trial or some credits for start. Private projects usually doesn't cost much, but with such a credit, we can avoid paying even one single penny. In case of Azure, what we get is $200 for start, which we can use in the next 30 days. Once this period will be over, there will be still a number of the services which will be free for us for the next 12 months or lifetime. Azure account can create everyone. You don't need to work in any corporate or be on the university to do so. And thanks to this, each of us can learn how to use Azure at home. It's just enough to go to the Google and type Azure registration, and then Microsoft Azure account gets $200 free credits, and here we have free start on the middle as well. Let's click it. The easiest way is to have the Microsoft account like Outlook.com, which I already have, so I will sign in. I'm going to get a simple registration form where I need to put a couple of basic information like my name, email address, phone, few other informations. And at the end, the most scary step, I need to put my credit card. But there is no reason to be afraid. We are not going to be charged at all without our clear approval. Once this will be done, the easiest way to log in is to write Azure Portal login. And we will end up on the same page, just this time we don't create the free account, but we signed in with the account we have created in the previous step. And then if you see such an icon on the right top corner, we click it and move to Azure Portal, which is our first and main entry to Azure. After logging into Azure Portal at the beginning, it looks a little bit scary, just like everything what is new. Depends on what we were been using previously, our view will be a bit different, but overall concept will be the same. We have a menu on the left, which is very important for us. Here we see some our favorite resources. We will be able to change it moving forward. We can create a new resources like the databases, virtual machines, storage and so on, just over here. The same we can do by typing the name of the resource which we want to create. We will do a couple of examples in a second. Or we can also select different resources just from the main view. At the beginning, everything looks a bit complex, but after you log in a couple of times and get familiar with the way it works and looks, it starts to be actually pretty simple. Let's do a few examples. One of very frequent reasons why companies start using cloud services is to get cheap virtual machines on top of which they can run their software. Let's take a look how creation of one looks like. We can go to the menu on the left and find the virtual machine. Here we can click create resources, we can get virtual machines from here, or we can just type in the search bar virtual machine, and here we have it. We go on the left, click create virtual machine one more time, and then we will need to provide set of basic informations like a virtual machine name over here, the region where we want to create our virtual machine, or two very interesting one. First one is image. We can choose Windows virtual machine, we can choose Linux, I will choose Debian, which is my favorite one, and then size. We can select some pretty powerful virtual machine, but also we have some very basic like this one, half gigabyte of memory, which for Linux is absolutely enough. This virtual machine would cost me $4 for the whole month if I would keep it up and running 100% of the time. I can stop it, I can delete it, but if it would be up and running all the time, that's how much I would pay. This is just brilliant if you want to develop simple software in the cloud or learn Linux. I have already created one virtual machine. Let's take a look how it looks like, how to log into it. There is actually few ways. The simplest way is to set up user and password during the implementation and allow SSH connection. This is the public IP address which I can use to connect to that virtual machine. What I did a minute ago, so I have it in my history, and then I just put a password. And let's check that we are in the right virtual machine. And here we have the name of the virtual machine, which is exactly like here, and the information that it's Debian. Brilliant! This is our first virtual machine in the cloud. Later on, I can go back to the virtual machines and stop it or delete it, and this way avoid paying for it moving forward. And yes, another example of the resource in the cloud is something what is very frequently used by data engineers and data scientists, meaning Databricks. Databricks is a company on the top of Apache Spark, started 7 or 8 years ago, and nowadays it's worth more than $38 billion. If we launch a Databricks, it will look a bit similar to what we know from Anaconda, meaning Jupyter Notebook, but the main difference is, besides some additional features, the main difference is that the workbooks will not anymore be run on our PC, but instead of that, in the cloud, on the cluster of the computers, depends on our demand. The cluster can be very simple. It can be just one virtual machine behind, or can be 100 powerful virtual machines running analysis and data transformation on our demand. In the same way I have created virtual machine or Databricks resources, I can create many other things, databases, different applications. I think that you have already some idea. But one more thing which I wanted to show you in this episode, which is really cool, is something what is called cognitive services, or in our case, NI and machine learnings. Those are services available in Azure which are based on pre-built Microsoft algorithms, and I'm going to use two of them. One is Translator, the second one is Face API. Those are two simplest services to use, actually already created by me. If I click on it, one of the things which I can see is I can see keys and endpoints on the left side. If I click on it, what I get is my private key which I can use to connect to those services from my own application, or actually not even mine because I copied that from the Azure documentation, which by the way is great. I just put the keys from my portal, and here is the code from the Microsoft official page. The code is very simple. I will use Translator service to translate any text into German and Spanish. This is great. That's the response, pretty cool. In case of the second service, second one is more advanced, more sophisticated, Face API. The general idea is the same. You send the picture to Azure, and Azure, based on the picture of the person, can recognize the mood of the person, if the person is smiling or not, gender of the person, or age. So I did exactly the same. I have already started the service. I took a keys in exactly the same way as for the previous service, and I also of course copied the code from Azure documentation, and here is the picture which I want this service to recognize. So the picture is following. also from Azure documentation. And the task is simple. What is the gender? I think that's obvious thing. And what is the age? Let's launch the code. And here it comes. Okay, so we see that Azure has identified the face, which is now in a red frame. And here is the information. This person is female and most likely 25 years old. Pretty cool. And this is just the basic example out of many services which are available in Azure. But the main point is that they are pretty easy to use, and in many cases they are actually for free. Talking about money, last but not least, in the menu on the left, on the bottom, we have something what is called cost management and billing. This is a place where at any moment of time we can check how much we have spent. Of course, at the beginning our projects will be very small and we also get $200 for start. So we shouldn't see here even one single penny, but it's good to know that we can have a full control over our spending. We have also possibility to set up alarms or limits how much we wanna spend. In my case, I was using Azure pretty heavily this month, so I have a little bit to pay, but I'm totally sure that for this episode, for creating virtual machine, Databricks and couple of services, either I'm not going to pay anything or it will be very small amount, so I don't really care. When it's going about the next steps, how to learn Azure, there is a plethora course on the internet, on the Udemy, on the Coursera, Cloud Guru, and many other services, and some of them are really good. No matter if you are planning to be a data engineer, data scientist, or IT expert in general, knowing clouds is very important. Of course, one and the singlest, the best place to learn Azure data engineering and data science is this YouTube channel, so don't hesitate, subscribe. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.